For the last several years, the story of Cardano could be described as one of Plutus dreams and Caviar wishes. But it turns out we're now within weeks, not months, of the Plutus Application Backend, and we can finally get a chance to see what kind of dApps our ecosystem is capable of dreaming. Ready? Let's go. Today was not a normal day. Right before I was about to sit down and record this video, I decided to go for a quick drive. Just to give my vehicle a little exercise. Should have taken, I don't know, maybe 45 minutes max. It turned into about a 5.5 hour odyssey because I decided to drive to kind of a beautiful place. The problem with this place though, while it's a great place for a quick drive, there's only one way in and one way out. And maybe like 5 minutes ahead of me on the way out, there was a really bad automobile accident, really bad car crash. And the police needed to investigate this accident. So they closed down the only road out of this place for, couldn't have been 4 hours, but for a really long time. And then they decided to let everybody out of this area sort of on a staggered basis. They would sort of let a few people out and then stop and investigate the scene more and then let more people out. I assume that's what they were doing because that's what they said they were doing. But long story short, the 45-minute drive turned into a 5.5, maybe 6 hour drive, somewhere right in that range. But I did have to drive past the actual site of the wreck. And it was definitely a good reminder, seeing the condition of the vehicle. It was definitely a good reminder that no matter how things are going with our magic internet monies, it's good just to be alive and kicking. First up, it looks like the Africa tour has commenced. We get this tweet out of Charles. It says SA Living. I assume that is South Africa Living. And he is standing in front of a gigantic pen. Look at how tall these walls are. I mean, are those 12 footers? How tall are those? And it makes sense they are so tall because I don't know too much about African animals, but I would guess that that is a Cape buffalo, which I am told is one of the most dangerous animals in the world. Kills a huge number of big game hunters, or has historically. Somebody out there who's more familiar with Cape buffalo can tell me if I'm right about that. But I understand these to be very dangerous, and I'm glad our main man here is I hope a good 12 feet above that very dangerous animal, and there is a gigantic pen keeping in place. But look at him. He's looking right at our main man. The Cape buffalo's got laser eyes on our dude. I'm afraid the Cape buffalo may be looking at what appears to be a single pen there. I think we're all expecting two pen Charlie, even when he's on a different continent. And it could be, I mean, we can't really tell. It could be that that's two pens, but they're in profile, so it seems like only one. So I don't know. There's also this black thing here. Maybe he's got some extra pens, like in a quiver of pens on the belt. Hard to tell, but he appears to be in great spirits and far from this very dangerous animal. I think we know there's a large number of countries that Charles will be visiting, and I believe John O'Connor will also be in on these nation-state visits, and probably great things to come out of this, but we'll see in the coming days and weeks. This Africa trip may reveal other things about Charles that we previously may not have been fully aware of. For instance, it turns out my dude wears very colorful kicks. You can tell that the confidence of the Cardano community is growing. People can already taste the victory the closer we get to the Plutus Application Backend, which will allow all the developers to launch all the dApps. Here we have a post from Rick McCracken. He has modified his ledger so that it reads, ADA number 1, suck it ETH. Some people were a little worried about this. Some people in the comments, looks like they thought it was a little too aggressive. I mean, it's all in good fun, and ETH is the leader. They're the biggest blockchain in the smart contract space. So I think it's okay as we make our big run up towards actually being able to launch dApps with our Plutus Application Backend. I think it's okay for us to poke at least a little bit of fun at ETH. The October mid-month development update also dropped. And we got a nice update from Triple H, as always, Harrison, Hemsley, Hammond, and this time they were joined by Jan Mueller. So they let us know that we'll have a maintenance upgrade toward the end of October, and in the Plutus Application Backend a few weeks later. This is extremely important since it will finally allow for the last bits of dApp build out. The Plutus Application Backend is already available on the testnet. The test dApp the team is using is an NFT marketplace. The team also mentioned they acknowledged that we've seen some high loads on the blockchain around events like NFT drops, but this is something they're watching, and they said actually the network is reacting exactly as they would expect. The update would also be a really great place to go if you want to understand exactly what the Plutus Application Backend does and how it relates to the other pieces, the other bits of machinery, if you will, involved in making the whole Plutus thing off-chain and on-chain come to reality. So this infographic right here, this chart, kind of explains how all the different pieces interact with each other. If you want to know more about this, I'll let you go directly to the video because Kevin Hammond here knew more about computer science and functional programming 3 decades ago than I will know even 3 decades from now. The update also went into a little bit of detail about how Alessandro here, who you might know as the co-founder of SpaceBuds, the operator of the Berry stake pool, and the creator of the Nami wallet, was able to create the SpaceBuds marketplace, which is the first marketplace on Cardano, which operates on smart contracts. In the video, they explain how Alessandro was able, they go into a little bit of detail. Obviously, they don't give you a full explanation, but they go into a little bit of detail about how Alessandro was able to do this prior to the launch of the Plutus Application Backend. If you followed the genius behind his other projects, it'll be no surprise to you that he was one of, if not the first person to do this on Cardano. The official Pavia metaverse map also dropped, and to everybody's surprise, I think, we found out that there's sand both in the lake over here and in certain areas on almost all the land masses. Maybe not this one. Maybe this is the only land mass without actual sand on it. And at first, I was a little bit sad. I was like, oh no, Spy Beach is not sand parcels. It's not, the parcels that are involved in Spy Beach are not sand parcels. Then I found out that nobody actually owns the sand parcels. And those sandy little bits of real estate are for public access for events and things like that. And the description of this kind of made it sound like there might be events actually going on in the water. And this was maybe public access for things going on in the water. And then I started thinking, is it better to be sand adjacent or to actually be water adjacent? Because my initial instinct would be, it's better to be sand adjacent if that's where public events will happen. But then I thought, but if you're sand adjacent, you're not right on the water. And if there's a big public event, you know, you might have a bunch of people sort of blocking you from the water. I don't know. I still think it's probably better to be sand adjacent. I think those are going to be really nice lots to have because you'll have really good access in the case of public events. But it's so early. We really don't know what this is going to look like a month from now, let alone 3 to 5 years from now. We also found out that these lots that are off the map, they have coordinates too, and they're labeled as undiscovered, which has led some credence to the idea that the sort of phase 2 sale of parcels in Pavia will be these outer parcels, sort of on the outside of the map, adjacent in every direction, which is probably good news, I think. I hope it's good news for the people who bought in the first cell because their locations will be more central, whereas everybody in the second cell will be further outside. We also got some labels on the central square and the 2 portals. Remember, there are 2 potential portals, one to Sandbox and one to Decentraland. Sounded like the development team wasn't too sure if they'd be able to make the portals work, but they were going to try. We also found out that there are these darker blue portions of water in the center of the biggest water areas. They're labeled as deep sea. I've been hearing some rumors about the deep sea areas. Some very interesting, cool sounding rumors. I'm going to try to find out a little bit more about that before I talk about it, but very interesting rumors a member of the Army Spies sent to me about these areas. I know I keep coming back to these Coin98 analytics ecosystem maps. This time posted by @CryptoIreland1, but look at how many projects we have. Is this not enough to occupy our blockchain? I mean, obviously, a year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now, it's going to get even bigger and bigger and bigger. But dApps can't even really launch yet because the Plutus Application Backend isn't available, but it will be available. Like Triple H told us, we're going to get an upgrade, a maintenance upgrade at the end of this month. And then some number of weeks, a few weeks maybe after that, we're going to get the Plutus Application Backend. And all of these dApps for the first time will have the ability to actually launch their products. Look at this. I mean, obviously NFTs have already launched and a few other projects have already launched, but look at all these projects just waiting. They're just waiting for this one final puzzle piece. And as soon as they have that Plutus Application Backend, a lot of them are going to be able to launch into action here, and we're going to see this explosion of activity on our blockchain. I hope you're all as excited as I am, and I will talk to you tomorrow.